Alright. Let me change this, and then we'll actually formally get started. Alright. So let me kind of do my introduction, and then I'm going to start answering some chat questions. I wanted to give people a minute or two to get in here before I started, because I don't want to repeat myself too much, because tonight's deck list is really weird. And I want to kind of make sure people understand why. Alright, so good evening everyone. My name's Phil Gallagher. I run ThrabenU University. We mostly stream D&T on this channel, although in the past week I streamed, Mono Black Control, Tin Fins, what else did we do? I think I did Black Red Reanimator, Maverick, Mono Black Control, and Soldier Stompy. Because I was on spring break and I just wanted to do a bunch of silly things. But mostly it's D&T on this channel. And today's D&T list is interesting. I'm not going to say good, but I'm going to say interesting. And before I go over that, I'm going to answer questions from the channel. Hi Phil, are we going to bully people today? Absolutely, that is the plan. We are 100% a bully stream whenever we can be. Alright, question 2, does the deck play itself? Yeah, probably. Alright. Hey Phil, quick question, what do you think about the new Angel? Would it be good against check pile? I am 100% going to test that new Angel that gives your stuff hexproof. I think that's very potentially good. I think it is called Shalai, or something like that. You also streamed something with blue that doesn't qualify for D&T? Hey, don't you call me out, or we will turn this into an Enchantress stream right now. Right now, this can turn into an Enchantress stream. I'm ready to go. I've been practicing. I now know how my Words of Wind math works. We can do it. We can do it, chat. But maybe some other day. I'm more excited to play this at the moment. Okay, so I'll answer a couple more random questions. What is the drink of today? Today's drink is water in a card hoarder water bottle. Phil, what do you think of the red goblin? That card's sweet, but I don't know that it'll see play anywhere. The ability to deal 1 damage to everything is obviously very good. We're playing Orzhov Pontiff for kind of similar reasons, but I just don't know if that card has a home. I demand a Red Prison stream before Enchantress stream. That's a fair demand. Whether or not that demand will be met, I don't know, but that's totally fair and reasonable. I borrowed Enchantress with, the intention to go and stream it last night, and then I started playing leagues in the tournament practice room, and one of my opponents asked, hey, are you streaming this? And I said, no, and they're like, okay, good, because this is probably terrible to watch. And I kind of agreed with them, so I don't know that I'll actually stream this at all. The Words of Wind combo is a lot of clicks, and it's really slow. Oh, Welshman, thank you very much for subscribing. I appreciate your continued support. Your Soldier Stompy reinforcements have arrived. Okay, so on that note, let me make sure I don't get her name wrong. Chantel Campbell had a pretty good run with D&T with Soldier Stompy at the GP. So I'm actually going to talk to her a little bit about Soldier Stompy. I exchanged a couple of quick messages, but I'm going to try to get her list and then compare and see how she did and what her thoughts on the matchups were. Because she got 3 or 4 feature matches, something absurd like that over the weekend since she was doing so well playing a relatively rogue deck. So I might end up writing another article on Soldier Stompy. And Dr. Bill, I just got your message on Facebook and your email. I'm not going to have time to look at that until after the stream, but I'll start working on that tomorrow. Long story short, Dr. Bill is writing a tournament report for ThrabenU University from GP Seattle. And Stunton, thank you very much for your continued support. I know you've been here with me for 3 months now. That's most of my time here. I really do appreciate that. Yes, so Chantel ended up going 11-4. She top 64'd. I don't know exactly what it was, but it wasn't like barely top 64. It was like, I think like 52nd or something like that. All right. As far as other quick thoughts on the GP, because like I want to just like get going with this this league sooner rather than later. As expected, Deathrite Shaman and Brainstorm is one of the best things to be doing in the format. D&T didn't put any into the top 8, but we got a Maverick deck, which is the same general sort of strategy, and I think that's validation of the generic archetype, like doing something that fights against the sorts of decks that we've been seeing popular. The Brainstorm and Deathrite Shaman decks has been working continuously. You know, Red Prison at the previous GP, Maverick at this one. Like, that sort of strategy is still valid, even though we didn't get, you know, a top 8 finish here. There were a lot of players in contention for, like, top 64 or who placed top 64 playing D&T, or, like, felt just, like, barely outside of it. And that's, like, an 11-4 finish. Like, that's still absolutely amazing. That's still a great record. So, like, I don't think the world is ending. I don't think D&T is terrible right now or anything like that. I think those claims are overhyped. If you're a good D&T pilot, you don't have anything to worry about. And that's why you still see people like, you know, Egget and Coke and myself still just, like, crushing with D&T. Or Bahra in the Legacy Challenge. Which kind of brings me up to my next point here. So, Bahra's build is a few cards off from this one. I made a few changes. So, essentially, Bahra, Mark Koenig's argument, is that Stoneforge Mystic is a very bad tempo card right now, when everyone is going and playing, like, Lightning Bolts and Fatal Pushes and Abrupt Decays and, like, just tons and tons of removal, including Culligan's Command, trying to, like, pay 2 mana for a Stoneforge, 2 to put a piece of equipment in, 2 to equip, and then have, like, 6 mana worth of your work die to, like, a 1 mana spell, is just absolutely terrible. So, we're not gonna rip on the round 1 D&T player. Like, the GP chat already ate that player alive. We'll give him a pass. So, I understand the argument about not thinking that Stoneforge Mystic is good right now. Mark's previous build also did not include Swords to Plowshares, though, and when I played that build, I just hated it. No Swords to Plowshares, no Stoneforge Mystic, no Jitte, no Sword of Fire and Ice, just meant that there was, like, basically no removal in the deck, and I just felt stone cold dead to so many opposing decks. And so his second version that he top 8'd with in the Legacy Challenge yesterday included Swords to Plowshares, and I like it much better. I don't think I have his exact list saved, but his list was something like this, with, I think, a Serra Avenger, a third Serra Avenger instead of Fire Imp, and I think the rest of the main deck was the same. So the general philosophy was, like, let's just play more creatures, and let's avoid getting those tempo-based blowouts. And I can kind of see where that's coming from. But there's an issue. If you have 3 Direfleet Daredevils and 3 Serra Avengers, this is what you're left for castable 2-drops on turn 2. So your turn 2 plays are Thalia or Spirit of the Labyrinth. Unless you had multiple 1-drops in hand and you can go something like Vial and then cast like Swords to Plowshares on turn 1. So most of the time your turn 2 play is Rishadan Port. And that's not great. So I like how good of a Vial deck this is. Like, your Vial hands are insane, but a lot of times I just think this is going to be really slow and clunky. And if you don't hit that 3rd land drop and you don't have a Vial, like, you are probably doing literal nothing with your hand. And, like, heaven forbid you get Wasteland. So let's talk about what I did to make some changes here. Number 1, I added a Fire Imp. This is not going to make a lot of sense on paper, but after I watched Mark's stream yesterday, I made the comment, like, geez, I wish you had something tutorable that could kill Hallowed Spirit Keeper. And for those of you who don't know Hallowed Spirit Keeper, it's 3/2 Vigilance, Avatar, not human, When it dies, you create X 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. So, what if we try to play a value-oriented game where we play lots of creatures, we expect a lot of them to die, but then we have Hallowed Spirit Keeper as the end game? What does Pile do to beat this? If we go and play Pile, or if we go and play against Pile and they kill, let's say like a realistic number, let's say they kill 5 to 7 of our guys, and then we played Hallowed Spirit Keeper. Uh-oh. Now this is essentially like a true name nemesis, right? Like, you can't block this and let this die, or I create a ton of spirit tokens that can't just be 1-for-1 at all. And so, like, the only follow-up is, like, use something to kill Hallowed Spirit Keeper and then Toxic Deluge the board. That's the only out to that. So I was curious, like, what if we can just trigger our own Hallowed Spirit Keeper? And so I added a Fire Imp to the deck. We spent a long time brewing, and by we I mean like Mark, myself, and the chat from yesterday, which included a decent number of high-level D&T players. So Mark then casually tried Disciple of Bolas and Fleshbag Marauder. Fleshbag was my suggestion. I think that's pretty reasonable. It also serves as a counter to True Name Nemesis. So I wanted to try one of the other cards that chat brought up, Fire Imp. It's just a 2/1 that like shocks a creature when it enters the battlefield. So normally this will be removal for stuff like Delvers, but in sort of bad circumstances, or not bad circumstances, in weird circumstances, it is a removal spell for your Hallowed Spirit Keeper. All right, so that was kind of change number 1. Change number 2 was I wanted more castable 2-drops. So I trimmed an Avenger and a Daredevil that weren't actually castable in the early game to play 2 Selfless Spirits, a card that I've tested in a couple of different shells and have been relatively happy with. It's a little bit worse in a non-Stoneforge Mystic build because, like, the Stoneforge Mystic build is better at playing Protect the Queen, but it's still an aggressive 2-drop threat, and it pairs well with Honor of the Pure, which is over in the sideboard. So the sideboard is a few cards different from Mark's as well. I like Honor of the Pure. I like enchantments right now as a way to fight against the format. Like, there's very, 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 very little enchantment removal right now. Like, if you look at, like, your Grixis decks, they just can't take it off the table. Or, like, your Pile decks, like, maybe have an Abrupt Decay or something like that, but they're relatively light on ways to answer it. So I think cards like Rest in Peace and Honor of the Pure are very, very, very good right now. I have a couple other deck lists I haven't uploaded yet that I've been kind of theory crafting. But I think D&T with some main deck enchantments over artifacts might be very well positioned right now. So, Honor of the Pure is a partial combo card in this deck, as weird as that sounds. So, with these Hallowed Spirit Keepers, if Hallowed Spirit Keeper dies and Honor of the Pure is in play, your opponent is just, like, probably stone cold dead next turn. Honor of the Pure definitely overperformed on Mark's stream yesterday. It was very, very good. This is not a card I like necessarily. I've been very unimpressed with it in the past because it often serves as a band-aid, where, like, sometimes it comes at the wrong time and you've already gotten hurt when you go and play it. And, like, just drawing it at the wrong time can be terrible. But when you draw it at the right time, it can really be gross. Like, if you start a game like turn 1 Vial, turn 2 Honor of the Pure, and then you just dump creatures off of the Vial, it can be really rough for your opponent to try to catch up, especially if they're either disruptive, like Thalia and Wingmare, and them being disruptive and bigger is awful for them, or they're vigilant, like Sarah Avenger and Hallowed Spirit Keeper, so they get, like, both the offensive and defensive boost. This is not the only build of D&T I'm interested in. Like, I kind of wonder if this same strategy, but with, like, Judge's Familiar, could be really good. Like, I potentially really like Judge's Familiar with Honor of the Pure as well. I think, like, going away from the Direfleet Daredevil and Hallowed Spirit Keeper plan and trying like some Rest in Peace in the main deck is also reasonable, and that's something I might try in this exact shell right here. Unsure. This is something I'm working on. I didn't get time to go and work that out fully. Oh, thank you very much for hosting, Farish. Yes, Stunton. So if you look at our creature types here, we have angels, we have spirits, we have more spirits, we have Pegasus, we have elemental, we have avatar, and what is this, an imp? Yeah, and an imp. Along with more avatars in the sideboards, and cat clerics, and human clerics. Cavern doesn't work here, despite how good it would be. We'll be tweaking this build to incorporate Resto Angel and a 24th land at some point in the future. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Like, I don't know if the mana base is right for this build. Like, I think I like the fetch configuration. I'm not sure if I want a 24th land. I'm also not sure if I just want to, like, trim a port for another colored mana source of some nature. Those are kind of my two main questions about this build. No PNK. I have no PNK because Mark says he does not like PNK. Hallowed Spirit Keeper does similar things, so I can see him not liking it in this exact shell, but I love PNK. And PNK is better in a deck with Cavern of Souls, so you can make it uncounterable. Like, uncounterable PNK with Karakas and Bile is the dream. So PNK might not be right for this deck list, despite how much I love it. So at this point, we have two different flavors of D&T, the Stoneforge and the non-Stoneforge builds, right? So Coin Man, it's actually a little more complicated than that. It's actually more like we have two common mono-white builds. The 4 Crusader build is the first, and then the second is like a Crusader build that also splits with Sarah Avengers. Then there's the stock red-white build. Then, after that, there's another iteration where we have the Stoneforgeless build. And the Stoneforgeless build is new and largely untested. It shows promise. Wait, I flipped my phone and it somehow hit the exact spots on the screen that resulted in hosting. I would never noticed it if you didn't mention it. Well, too late, you hosted. Get wrecked. Or something. So, like, there are a lot of flavors of D&T right now that are of various... Random note, the stream title still says Tin Fins. I changed that! Changed that like 5 minutes ago. What does it say on my dashboard? Okay, my change didn't go through. Alright, let's change that. Fire Imp in Legacy? I don't remember what I called it before. It was more clever before. Okay, I think that's all I have to say about this deck list. I made a couple of changes to the sideboard. I added a recruiter, and I added canonists, and I think I took out the council's judgments for those. The sideboard, as Mark made it, had, I think, too many cards for fair matchups and not enough cards for unfair matchups. So I wanted the canonists in there. I think Mark said he liked Mind Break Trap over canonist, which I kind of get, but, you know. Canonist is rarely bad, and it's a great card to board in like almost every single matchup, like every single like combo matchup. Canonist is good in most of them if they're like cantrip based. Why not FTK searchable with recruiter? Oh, you're muted. Chat, if someone would just kind of repeat the gist of what I'm about to say. Flametongue Kabu costs 4, and it's... If that's going to be the only 4-drop in my deck, it's not worth playing as the only 4-drop. If I was playing other 4-drops, I would consider that. Why no Prelate? I've been unimpressed by Prelate recently in a metagame that's full of removal at various costs. Like, if people are playing, like, Push, K-Command, and Edicts, then I think it's a bad time for Prelate. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and jump into a league here. There is a chance at some point I might have to pause for a couple of minutes to take a phone call. I am expecting one, and it's not something that I can put off, but I didn't want to, like, just wait on the stream not knowing, like, when I was going to get that phone call. So it's very possible, like, I will hit join this league, start a game, and then get that call. Because that's how life works. I went 5-0 last night with 3 Harsh Mentors instead of Sarah Avengers, and it was surprisingly good. I am not a fan of Harsh Mentor. I have played the card. I played it quite a bit in Burn, in a local Legacy League, and I was not convinced of its consistent power level in a deck that's trying to kill my opponent as quickly as possible. So I think it is just going to be worse in a less aggressive shell. But hey, you know, if you 5-0 for it, if you 5-0 with it, and it is working for you, keep testing it. Like, I give a lot of advice on this stream. Like, I say what I think's good, and I test what other prominent D&T players say is good to test. Like, I very frequently disagree with Mark, but I rarely disagree with his thought process. Like, even when I don't think what he is doing is, like, the best or the most viable thing, I 100% understand the arguments that he is making, and I would be a fool to, like, throw away other people's good ideas and testing data. Sorry, just to continue the Harsh Mentor stuff for those of you just listening. Yeah, it did 42 non-combat damage in the league, lol. That's impressive. And unrelated, I am very happy to those of you who are getting deck upgrades for D&T. Like, good for you. It feels really good. I'm not going to track data with this build just yet. Like, I want to just, like, play a few leagues and get a feel for it without just, like, carefully tracking the data. And then once I feel like I'm onto something and, like, I see whether or not this is worth pursuing, then I'll, like, start tracking data. Alright, this hand is pretty great. It has Thalia into Wingmare, which is, like, one of the dream starts. And if my opponent plays, like, a Deathrite Shaman here, then I have, like, Swords to Plowshares into Thalia, into Wingmare, into Wasteland, and Port. Oh god, chat, we did it. We drew the Fire Imp. We're gonna get him. I'm going to go ahead and lead on the fetch here, because I think I want basic planes in case my opponent is Delver. Okay, so why doesn't this list run any Revokers? Revoker stock is definitely down a little bit these days. Ooh, that's a shuffle on the Ponder, for the record, chat. Okay, so opponent is Delver. They're just playing the Bomat Courier version, which is going to be very poor against my Thalia on board, and also not good against Fire Imp. I want a horse emote. That's definitely worth consideration. Once I hit Twitch partner status, and I can like make more emotes available at the regular subscription level, I will do so. I have a filler emote currently at the $10 a month slot. It looks like this. Oh, another wasteland. All right, we'll take it slow. But that was not generally well received by chat, so I will probably take the same idea and do a little bit of work with it elsewhere later. Yes, the idea was Blood Moon, but chat just thinks it looks like meat. Alright, opponent, not able to do a ton here. Well, I'm blocking. What trick do you have? I accept. Do you have some sort of pump spell or something? Why would you Lightning Bolt Thalia now? Like, you just, like, missed a point of damage. Mutagenic growths aggressively. Yeah, like, that's kind of what I was expecting, Kenny, honestly. Like, that line doesn't make any sense with Lightning Bolt. It's fine. We're gonna Fire Imp this Bomat Courier and get him. Skarmag Angler's gonna be annoying, though. So I think I just want to take the Bomat Courier off the table this turn before my opponent can just, like, go, like, cantrip, Deathrite, attack, draw 2, or something like that. And then next turn I set myself up for, like, double Wingmare or Wingmare and Flicker Wisp on Fire Imp. That's probably better than just, like, slamming a Wingmare, I think. Got him. So that just stays as a face down card forever. Okay. Thoughts on main deck Mishra's Factory? It's a reasonable flex slot. I mean, it always has been, it always will be. Alright, so we're going to get to the Flicker Wisp Fire Imp turn for sure here. Now I have the question on, like, how exactly I want to do that, because if I wait, I can go, like, block Gurmag Angler, Vile in Flicker Wisp, Fire Imp, kill Young Pyromancer or Deathrite Shaman end of turn. But that would give my opponent a chance to use either one of those. I don't think I'm that scared of the tokens from a Young Pyromancer, especially if I just have a Wingmare in play. It is similar to that list, End Step Top. It's a little bit different. Alright, opponent is F6, they have nothing. I get really blown out by a removal spell if I wait and block. But if I wait and block, I might like be able to buy a ton of tempo. That tempo is probably important here, because like I'm gonna need to find something to deal with this Gurmag Angler long term. The Deathrite and the Young Pyromancer aren't that big of problems with the rest of the stuff that I've got. Oh my god. My opponent just concedes to Flicker Wisp on Fire Imp. That's amazing. Fire Imp winning games. Alright. So probably Pontiff in, Path in, Spirit Keeper consideration, Honor of the Pure consideration. Was that clipped? No, but somebody better clip that for me. Like, that's insane. That was such a good moment. Alright, let's talk about what we're going to take out. If I'm playing Pontiff, then getting Magus down might actively hurt me, so I might board out Magus. I might have enough things where Recruiter isn't great in this build. Like, I have a lot of things that just, like, trade with Delvers. Boarding in 7 cards in this matchup is a lot. Yes, that was definitely a Lewis CBR level of concession. But honestly, I do probably just aggro them out with 7 powers worth of flyers. So, like, it might not have been that early. But, like, I definitely felt good about that game from that point on if my opponent didn't have anything else. I don't know exactly what else I'm supposed to trim here. Maybe I'm not supposed to bring in the second Hallowed Spirit Keeper. I just play 1. I don't know, it's really good in these sorts of matchups. Like, it's an amazing chump blocker, and then it creates a whole bunch of bodies. Maybe I'll play 1 and trim a Wingmare, or trim a Flicker Wisp. That seems reasonable. CBR is Chicken Bacon Ranch. I like that. Well, of course I felt good. Fire Imp is better tech than Bomat Courier. Undoubtedly. Got CS Pickle good. Our hand has no white mana, so we're going to mulligan. Our hand has an Ether Vial, so we're going to keep. I will also take that land. We're going to get a strong start. And I realize the words that are about to come out of my mouth. We are going to have a great start of Plains, Vile, second Plains, Honor of the Pure in this match. Like, Vile into Honor of the Pure is legitimately pretty sweet. Oh, White faces with the knowledge drop as usual, ruining the chicken bacon ranch theory. I was quite fond of that theory. Womp, 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 womp. It's fine, we'll just play Honor of the Pure next turn and then get there. Awkwardly, if my opponent plays like a Death Right, I'll be putting a fetch into the graveyard, though. Thalia is bad against Delver, Big Thalia. Yeah, Big Thalia is not great, I agree, but it can be quite annoying if you couple it with, like, any other hate piece. Like, when you get Small Thalia and Big Thalia together, it's just awesome. This Spirit Keeper does not look as hot as it would be after 10 turns. Yes, I agree. Opponent put a land in the graveyard now, so now I'm more comfortable fetching than I would have been otherwise. This is gonna get, like, forced or dazed. Because it feels like it's going to get forced or dazed. Maybe we'll have to get some exhibition matches against Mr. Chicken Bacon Ranch himself sometime in order to, like, you know, set the record straight. Ooh, that's a good draw. How likely is my opponent to have that daze? Because they paused for a while last turn, right? So that might be indicative of the daze. If my opponent doesn't have daze, then my best line is just like Flicker Wisp, Flicker Plains, Swords to Plowshares, Young Pyromancer. But I get super blown out if they do have the daze. I'm going for it because I like that line so much better than just like Swords to Plowshares, pass. Oh, neat. It just worked. I was not convinced that it was going to. Yeah, Moxel, I agree. Like, Swords to Plowshares pass is a not lose the game line, whereas, like, the Flicker Wisp line is more geared towards, like, planning on winning the game. Fool! You don't know what you're doing. You're just advancing my tech. I like the idea of pondering. I only want one of these cards. I only really want the Selfless Spirit. So I'm just gonna shuffle this. Instantly rewarded. Unfortunately, Direfleet Daredevil doesn't get pumped because it's not white. Womp womp. Oh, thank you very much for the resubscription. I almost missed that. You know, no, that's your third month now. Shoop de whoop indeed. Praise be to Thalia. Oh man, white faces. That is awesome. That is such a sick line. Don't worry, I do not rank my supporters based on how long they have been subbed to me on Twitch or anything like that. Can we cut Daredevils for Boros Reckoners? Boros Reckoner, next level chat. Take that, Gurmag Angler. Ah, yes, the Forked Bolt that only gets one of my creatures. That feels good. Unfortunately, I can't get Direfleet Daredevil value with this Deathrite Shaman on the table right now. It's a little unfortunate. Phil, when are we getting a sub badge? I have to have Twitch partner status in order to get that. So as soon as I hit partner status, we will get that. I'm going to go ahead and play out the Spirit Keeper, and my opponent is probably going to start eating my graveyard, which is annoying, but like it's still a 4/3 Vigilant threat, and I'm kind of hoping that at some point my opponent uses the Deathrite Shaman on their turn so I can get my Daredevil value. Deathrite Shaman, again, being good against everything and filling every niche role. Double Deathrite. Daggers. This Wasteland may do things. So I just want my opponent to fetch, right? If my opponent fetches and drains me, or fetches and uses that mana, I can, like, tap or Wasteland and get rid of that. I'm going to add a stop at the end of combat on my turn and see what we can accomplish. We can accomplish nothing with it. Should have done this differently. I'm gonna try a Gambit here, chat. We'll see if it works out. I'm gonna try to Wasteland them, and then they'll eat my Flicker Wisp in response, in all likelihood. Alright, they float the green. I'm gonna go ahead and pass priority. And then they're gonna use their green mana to go and eat this. And then I'll get priority back. And then I can use my Daredevil. Phil the Bully confirmed. He's back. I tapped wrong. I shouldn't have tapped that port in case this gets countered. But it didn't. I'm gonna get the Forked Bolt out of there. Yeah! Phil is a bully. Phil's bullying is on point. Yes. So, like, I should have just played out that Wasteland earlier, and, like, either pre-combat or during combat have done the same thing, so they would have eaten that, and then that would have opened that line easier and made it less risky. So, for anyone who is, like, not familiar with why priority is so important and, like, why you need knowledge of game mechanics in order to play Death and Taxes, that's a great example. Because, like, the reason I just got a huge blowout and my opponent conceded here was because I understood how priority passes worked, and that I understood, like, why and how you need to float mana. Confirmed, Honor of the Pure and Fire Imp 2-0 in destroying Grixis Delver. Yep. I mean, clearly we've broken the format. So I have a lot more people now than when I first started, so I want to just flash the deck list again, you know, for any of you who just want to, like, take a quick screen cap or anything like that. The deck list is below the stream as well, but I know some of you like pictures and names, and it's just easier to visualize. It was all fire and nothing to do with priority. Yeah, opponent definitely conceded early on both accounts as well. So, like, there's that. So, the sort of big changes to this deck list are that there's no Stoneforge Mystic package, and instead there's a whole bunch of creatures, including some toolbox utility, mostly in the form of Fire Imp and Hallowed Spirit Keeper. Although some of your normal staple all-stars like Magus of the Moon are here as well. And you can plug your Card Hoarder bottle. I don't even have to plug Card Hoarder. The chat just, like, plugs my stuff for me. Really, though, Card Hoarder has been great. They let me borrow all sorts of stuff. I have a $300 loan account with them that they graciously gave me so that I can play fun things like Enchantress and Black-Red Reanimator, Blue-White Taxes, Legacy 4-Color Humans, Maverick, Mono-Black Control, Soldier Stompy. It's been a little bit of an adventure in the last week. I was on spring break and I wanted to have some fun. So that's why I played a lot of the decks that I did. Still confused on Wingmare. Should I play it? I have been very, very happy with Wingmare. Yes. This hand is going to be a mulligan. This is unplayable. I think it is very wise to go and play some amount of Wingmare in your deck. This is a reasonable keep. My opponent's last finish is with Nick Fit. So we'll see if we're actually playing against Nick Fit. Wingmare over Serra Avenger is good in many shells. Ginger Chief, if you remind me in between games, I can flash you a couple of deck lists, and I can talk about some of the strengths and weaknesses of various builds. I'm going to go ahead and bottom that. I don't know that I want that in this matchup, especially if it really is Nick Fit. I'm also just, like, shuffling no matter what to get a Plains, so there's that. And I am going to start on Plains. If my opponent is Nick Fit, it's not the best choice. But if they're not Nick Fit, I really don't want to just get, like, Wastelanded out of this game, because I just cannot survive Wasteland on my only white source with this hand. Also, what's with all the Phil needs to crossplay Thalia requests? It started as someone in the Discord who legitimately has a Thalia cosplay that she's working on. Yeah, alright, opponent confirmed, not Nick Fit. Do I just want to port my opponent this turn, or do I want to waste them? I probably just want to waste them. Like, waste them this turn, port them next turn, then play Wingmare? Or is that better or worse than just, like, port them this turn. They can only use a Brainstorm if they have that. Then Wingmare. I guess it depends on, like, daze type stuff and counterspells rather than anything else. It's about the same. I'm going to go ahead and Wasteland so that my opponent can't potentially Brainstorm earlier on. Like, they know my hand. They know everything that's going on. So I'd rather not give them the opportunity to, like, Brainstorm and then shuffle away one of their bad cards. I'd rather them, like, if they Brainstorm, they just do it on their turn and they don't get a shuffle yet. I would probably look great in a Thalia cosplay. Chat has no confidence in me. I could rock that. Don't tempt me, Phil. I have an expense account. I'm not above expensing that. Ooh, we have the Fire Imp tech. Now I'll just need another fetch land to cast it. I have full confidence, set a donation goal. I don't think I need to sell out that hard. I can sell out on, like, so many other fronts first. It's a robot. Let's ban the robot. Wonder if the Delver's gonna flip. Delver flipped. Flip to Force. It's bad for me. Because, like, I just have a bunch of 3-drops in hand. So Force of Will is gonna get a ton of value. We're gonna do the pro play. End a turn. I'm gonna tap their Volcanic Island just to send a message. You know, tilt them a little. Make them get it. Alright, what do I want to get forced? I probably want to get Flicker Wisp forced so that I can stick Wingmare. Because, like, Recruiter isn't good enough to force. Like, I'm behind on tempo. Like, so it has to be one of these flyers to eat the force. So I think I use Flicker Wisp as the bait to stick the Wingmare. Ooh, opponent has Daze. That's bad. That is very bad. We probably just get Delvered this game. Because opponent still has Force of Will and very, 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 presumably, a blue card to pair with it. Definitely a blue card to pair with it. So, opponent doesn't have lands, though. Fire Imp, please. You're our only hope. Alright, that is very good. So I Wasteland them, take them off their last land. I cast the Wingmare, Wingmare gets countered. I cast Recruiter, get another flyer, probably a Flicker Wisp. Opponent can't cast anything in the meantime. I'm going to take 6 from the Delver, be at 7. Alright, that's not so bad. Yep, that was expected. Yes, I am on a Cavernless build. Cavern doesn't work with all of the different creature types I have. Like, you know, Imp, for example. Fire Imp, the real MVP. Red source one-time dealer. Welshman, this is on you. You didn't specify. You gave our opponent a red source. That's on you. The jig is up. They know about Fire Imp. Ooh. Unflip that Delver. This is not, like, the biggest value play with Flicker Wisp. Like, I would prefer to, like, Flicker a Recruiter or a Fire Imp for card advantage. But, like, that's not where I'm at right now. I like, have a serious tempo problem. Fuck. The Delver reflipping is an issue. Yes, now we fixed it. One red source for us, please. Please, Worth. Fuck! Revealing another force? Oh, in a wasteland? Uh-oh. Feels like we're getting Delvered. We'll see if this draws a force. It should not draw a force. Like my opponent, yeah, good. Good play, opponent. You did not force of will my Spirit of the Labyrinth. This card's garbage. Opponent hitting a second land means that they can, like, realistically have or play another threat, too. Did it cost me physical pain to cast that card? No. No, it didn't. But, like, I don't like Spirit of the Labyrinth. I think the card's terrible. But, like, I am not... I respect Mark as a deck builder, so I am not going to just, like, throw away his testing and his results. Okay, we're super dead to that. Alright, opponent definitely had it all there. We had a very, very good hand, very strong on a number of levels, and we just got, like, dazed, forced, and then potentially forced second time, wastelanded off a mana, you know, lightning bolt for the flyer to trade with the Delver, brainstorm to reflip the Delver the second time, like, it's fine. Alright. So, I think we did, what, Pontiff in, Paths in, Honor of the Pure in, we did Magus out, Spirit of the Labyrinth out, a Flicker Wisp out, and Recruiters out. That's what we did last time. Someone in chat suggested that Thalia Heretic Cathar might be worse than, like, the Flicker Wisp or the Hallowed Spirit Keeper here. And that's very possibly true. It might be the sort of thing where, like, on the play, we do Thalia Heretic Cathar to leverage its ability, and on the draw, we switch to Hallowed Spirit Keeper and Flicker Wisp. Hey, R&D, want to buy 1/1 white 2/2 that nukes opponent's graveyard on ETB? Just wait, Moxall. We'll get something like that. I legitimately would not be surprised if we just got, like, Rest in Peace on a bear a year or two down the line. Like, would not be surprised at all. Oh man, this hand is gas. Again, we get the broken start of Aether Vial into Honor of the Pure. Bear in peace. Boo. What do I want to do with this turn? I think I'm okay with, like, taking one Delver hit. I kind of just want to try to resolve Honor of the Pure this turn to keep all of my creatures out of Forked Bolt range forever. It'll also make my board much better against, like, a young Pyromancer if one of those comes down. But, like, I don't think I path this turn. I think I, like, want to draw another land and do that. So I think I either Honor of the Pure this turn or Selfless Spirit this turn, and then try to do the other next turn. If I play Selfless Spirit, it just eats my opponent's first removal spell, and then they attack in. But I guess it's better to make them do that now rather than later. I don't know. It's close. I'm going to play the Honor of the Pure now, because if my opponent has a Daze, this is probably good enough to get a Daze. Ooh, and Delver didn't naturally flip. Ooh, I'm probably going to get to mess with this Ponder with my Path to Exile. Alright, opponent did not shuffle. Opponent reponders. If you have 2 Honor of the Pure, Thalia Heretic Cathar can fight through that. Yes, that is very true. I feel like my opponent doesn't have very many threats. Just kind of like gut inclination. Or the threats they do have are either True Name Nemesis or Gurmag Angler, where they can't cast them yet. Because if they had a Young Pyromancer, I think they just like slam Young Pyromancer on the board and just kind of hope that Delver naturally flips. So I don't think they have Pyro in hand. So what does that mean about my board? That also probably means that they have some removal spell. So this is probably a good turn to just like play Flicker Wisp, get Plains, Path to Exile Delver, have an empty board. That seems good. Alternatively, like I can just play Selfless Spirit, have my opponent... I don't want to wasteland yet. Yeah, so actually, like, I can probably get more value out of my opponent if I just play Selfless Spirit, because then I can get them to fire a removal spell at it to try to, like, bait the way for Delver to come through. And then I can path. When are we upgrading Honor to Spear of Heliod? So that's on my list of cards that, like, maybe I would test, but I don't actually think that's the best. Oh my gosh, opponent does not flip? How good is that card if they're not flipping to it? So that means it's either a creature or like a True Name Nemesis or like a land to get True Name Nemesis. Unless I'm overthinking. So they Ponder didn't shuffle. Ponder didn't shuffle. That card has got to be good. I'm going to path. Oh, it's a May search, so that doesn't matter. I'm not going to path. Alright, so they just have like a True Name. That jerk. I'll get your Delver out of here. Just to, like, use my mana. Deal. Thalia Heretic Cathar is really good after my opponent dazes. Let the record show. I realize that that gets stonewalled by the true name, but if my opponent just attacks me in for 6, I crack them back for 7. So playing the Thalia Heretic Cathar probably just saves me 3 life. And then I'll get to Flicker with their Delver to unflip it, attack in for 3. Wait, what is with the Fire Imp? Fire Imp's great. In all seriousness, though, the Fire Imp lets us kill our own Hallowed Spirit Keeper, in addition to just being a removal spell. Alright, opponent reflips to a Brainstorm. That's fine. Like, I am the aggressor now. My opponent is going to have to chump block with their Delver to take one of my creatures off the board. Alright, Gurmag Angler is annoying. That might change the equation. We'll see. Alright. So if I just attack in with both of these creatures, my opponent probably blocks one and trades with the Delver, just trying to, like, get some of my bodies off the battlefield. Then I Swords Gurmag Angler. And then am I winning that race? Probably because I'm porting them and keeping them off of, like, casting things. It puts them to 18. I'm hitting for 7 a turn, so, like, 3 turn clock, theoretically. No, because my opponent will trade with the Flicker Wisp here. I'll put them to 18, then that's a 6 turn clock. But they just have 3. But if they attack with the tree, yeah, okay, that's good. How we doing? We're doing well. We're currently 1-0 in this league. We beat Grixis Delver in the first round. We're going to have a very close game one way or another versus Grixis Delver here. I lost twice at the GP to death and taxes. Yeah, it kind of does that. It beats up on people pretty well. Like, it doesn't have the greatest reputation right now. A lot of people are kind of, like, hating on D&T right now, but, like, it still just gets people dead and does a lot of really, really annoying things that people have to deal with. Ah, no more lands for you, opponent. That means Selfless Spirit is gonna peck you to death. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. It. She. Ghost. They. Let's go with they. Alright, you have a Daze or a Force over there. I feel like you have to, right? You're not doing anything else. Nope! I guess I can just, like, untap this. There's nothing that punishes me for doing so. Hey, man, I do love me some Fiery Confluences. Like, that card is insanely good in Legacy. Opponent holding Pyros and Bolts that they can't cast. That's very likely. And, like, if that is the case, then they can't play any of that this turn either, right? Because they have to use their turn... Like, if they draw a Fetch or a Valk, like, that's just going to come into play tapped. Meanwhile, I'm going to whack them in the air for 7 with Selfless Spirit and Flicker Wisp. So they chose not to shuffle. Ooh, a Deathrite Shaman. That's actually pretty legitimate here. Alright, Echo by nothing, I mean, like, nothing that is currently played in Grixis Delver. Too bad, this is legendary. Alright, so if my opponent eats, they go up to 6. That doesn't actually matter. Like, I still have lethal on board. I'm going to go ahead and port their Underground Seat. If they have something like a Fatal Push, they could not get Revolt, not kill Flicker Wisp here. Like, Flicker Wisp is the one that matters. Flicker Wisp is what's lethal. So if my opponent goes and, like, Lightning Bolts Flicker Wisp... What is this? What is this? You got a K command for me? I actually don't care. Like, I beat K command. Like, if you K command, you are actually just dead. Like, this... You are dead. You are dead to Flicker Wisp because I have Selfless Spirit on board. And I'm now indestructible. And your land is going to enter tapped, so that's that. Alright, and we got there again. You're playing Stoneforge Mystic, right? No, I'm actually not. Let me pull the deck list up here. Why is that so small? Oh, we're not done with that match. We have another one. Okay. So, Thalia Heretic Cathar was decent on the play, but slightly awkward. Maybe on the draw, I'm supposed to Hallowed Spirit Keeper and Flicker Wisp instead. Just to, like, have one more card that's good against Delver, and have one more thing that's annoying endgame. Yeah, Flicker Wisp is real scary as a 4-2, right? I agree. And Septop, it's not exactly Bothra's list. I've changed it a little bit. Alright, so I have 3 flyers. That's good enough to keep a hand. Like, that trades with a good portion of their deck. I'm gonna hope to draw, like, a Swords to Plowshares, or a Vial, or a Thalia, or just, like, something to do in the first couple of turns. I don't want my opponent to lead on land or Deathrite. Am I okay with just wastelanding here? I think I am. My opponent was on 6 cards, so if they're on a 1-lander and they don't blind flip the Delver, this could just be an insanely strong play. Yeah, so it's based on that list. It takes into... they blind flipped, and it's off a Daze. And they have a Wasteland. But we have a Wasteland. I'll just invalidate their Wasteland. And just play Windswept Teeth and pass. Yeah, so end step top. Yesterday in Bothra's stream, Mark and I, as well as like a handful of other people in chat, had some discussions about like how do we make the deck better, and Fire Imp / Disciple of Bolas and a few other cards came into the discussion of how to do that. I'm just going to play Windswept Heath and pass in order to, like, 100% be able to play a 3-drop next turn. Like, I know my opponent has Daze, but they don't have an island currently in order to back that up. Goody, we just get to play, like, mono-white deck. Do I want to go to 8 to just fetch another basic? I don't know that I do. Like, I think I'm okay with being wasted, I think. Although if my opponent draws Daze, I definitely don't want to get wasted, and I just, like, want to 100% resolve a threat next turn. So I think I can go to 8. And I'm going to play the card with the highest upside here. Opponent really needs a force here. Alright, they do have the force. So why did you decide to go with just 2 Wingmare? I want either 2 or 3. I made room for more castable 2-drops. That was an active decision I made. Alright, Wasteland's pretty good. And I guess I'll go ahead and just Wasteland their Wasteland. I don't want them to go, like, land Young Pyromancer or something like that. Even though this isn't, like, the best Wasteland target, and I would much rather save it for a colored source. Opponent wisely Wastelanding their own Wasteland to show me what's what. I respect that. Woody, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Like, it's, I love it. I love, love, love the card, or the deck so much. Alright. I don't think my opponent has a force. They like, very obviously don't, right? They revealed Ponder for turn, so that was their draw. So unless they had Force and no blue card or something like that. So like I can safely get an attack in here. And then like Flicker Wisp my own Flicker Wisp if I want. Alright, super punished. They actually had a Force but did not have a blue card. That's annoying. It's very unfortunate because that means like I'll be dead to like a land for a bolt or something like that. Which they don't have bolt apparently. So that's good. Why would you not bolt on your turn if you have bolt? Like, I 100% don't have Swords to Plowshares, because I would have just Swords to Plowshares the Delver, so you gave me another chance to draw an out to that? That's so tilting. Oh well. It wasn't even like a slow roll, right? Like, it was just like a bad play. It's just like 100% a bad play. Because like if I drew Swords to Plowshares, I get to Swords to Plowshares my own Flicker Wisp, deploy the spirit that's in my hand, and then like be in an awesome position because my opponent is now like out of land as well. Just target yourself with the Mother of Runes. It's easy. Get all the protection. Ugh. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this deck list up for just a second for people to take a look at it. If you have any questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat. I'm going to run to the restroom real quick before we go into round 3. Opponents never get punished for the bad plays. Sure they do. Like, it happens so much. Like, if you're watching GP coverage of the weekend, there were so many times where people made, like, these, like, tiny, like, micro misplays and were super, super punished for them. It's just, like, they can't get punished every time, right? You can't always expect the opponent to get punished every time they make an error. Like, that's very unrealistic. If this deck had Spirit Guides, you could run out Fire Imp on turn 1. That's a good point. That might be worth consideration. Fire Imp turn 1, targeting itself, is real strong. Ooh, we're playing against Mach 1. How fast do they go? Well, this has no lands, so we mulligan this. This is a bad hand. This is a very bad hand. Alright. So let's say my opponent goes, like, land Deathrite Shaman. I Swords to Plowshares their Deathrite on their turn, Wasteland them on my turn, and maybe that's enough to steal a win? So what's better than this? A 5-card hand that has an Ether Vial is, like, considerably better than this. But a 5-card hand without Ether Vial is probably worse no matter what the hand is. Like, this still has game. Like, this has a port and a Wasteland. Begrudging Keep, hoping my opponent plays Deathrite Shaman. So, Spirit of Labyrinth is on top, and I'm going to play Windswept Heath to leave myself with the option to fetch it away if I don't want it. Phil, over-under on Deathrite Shaman getting banned. I'll put the line at 55%. Over. Snap over on that. Yeah, definitely sketchy keep. Alright, I think my opponent is playing Red-Black Reanimator. If I cast Spirit, then they just don't fetch Grizzlebrand. Which is what I want them to do, because then I have, like, outs to it. But if they're just playing something like Check Pile or something like that, and somehow the Spirit lives, like, it's a fine card to draw. Like, I guess it's a castable 2-drop, and I should just, like, take it for that reason, so, like, I have a card that is pressure. Strange video keeps crashing on my computer. Time to watch on phone without chat. I'm so sorry, HC Fox. That's very disappointing. I'm so excited to brew if they shake up the format. Ooh. Opponent is Storm. Probably Tess? Unclear? Maybe Ant? Like, both can play Bloodstained Mire. If I port my opponent, I think they just get basic Swamp, so I don't actually gain anything by, like, playing Wasteland. Like, trying to, like, port them and waste it afterwards, I don't think. So I'm just gonna, like, play Vial and then port their fetch land if they Brainstorm or Cantrip. Oh no, they're not going to Brainstorm or Cantrip. So I'll just play Vial, and then in their upkeep, I'll port the Badlands, make them make a choice. How broken has Fire Imp been? My opponent on Grixis Delver conceded to it in match 1 of this league. I went Fire Whip, Fire Imp, Flicker Wisp, Fire Imp, and they were done with my crap at that point. Alright, opponent, you get that land for 1 turn. Can you go off with 0 cantrips? It's very possible you can. Yeah, so Tyler, I pretty regularly hit the numbers that I need with most of my Monday and Wednesday broadcasts to, like, hit partner status at 75, but the issue is that it has to be 75 over the course of a month, and like the beginning of the broadcasts are weaker than the middle and end. So like if for the first hour I have 20 viewers, then like for 3/4 of it I have like 70. Like those numbers don't work out. In before 16 goblins. This is Tin Fin's watch. So Tin Fins is not traditionally this heavy in red, and the version from the GP that plays like the Living Wish build and the LEDs is in green. So we'd be seeing very different lands from them. Hey Phil, what's your opinion about reprinted ports? I love them even though I never separate them from my Mercadian Masks ones. I love that port got reprinted. Like I very much like my original art ports, but like new art port is definitely fine and gets my seal of approval as a piece of art. Like I think I've got, oh geez, what language are my ports? I think my ports are German. I really like them. Easy. You just gotta get someone big to host you for 1,200 viewers and then skate off those numbers. Tyler, that's why they pay you the big bucks. That's why you're gonna be a doctor. Doomsday! It's Doomsday! Ooh, man. Alright, well, that's just like the literal best draw in my deck right there, probably. Yeah, Spirit is really good against Doomsday. Spirit is really good against decks that don't have creatures that gum up the board. Wasting the Badlands here because it produces black mana for rituals, and the Spirit already neuters cantrips. No, I do hate Spirit. You want me to dab, Tyler? Like, I don't know, I'm not an expert dabber. Maybe I need to do it in the other direction where I have more room. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I really hate Spirit because in any matchup where there are creatures, like, it just does nothing. Like, it never gets in versus even something like a Pyromancer token. Yeah, like, the new art is sweet. Like, in terms of art quality, like, it is high tier. I enjoy that a lot. What's Tashar Ancestor's Apostle? I'm not familiar with that one, at least not by name. Thalia dab emote when? That's a legitimate suggestion. I like that. That could be something for Twitch partner status. I believe this game is over. I'm still gonna cast this Vial, I think. Because I've been wrong before. And I think the 1 point of life loss is not relevant. I find it very unlikely that my opponent can storm off through Wingmare with no cantrips to set up. You get partner, and I don't get a Thalia Dab emote. I'm driving to Twitch. Oh, thank you, Coin Man. I am familiar with that card. That card is interesting. I don't know if good, but it is interesting. I don't know that I'll test it personally, but there are already a handful of people who have messaged me saying, like, hey, I'm starting to proxy and test this. It's weird. I'm going to go ahead and show them the red, because I'm probably boarding out most of my red cards. And I just want to, like, have the plateau in case I need it. Like, this is a case where I am, like, intentionally giving them information, and it's going to make them think more about what they are doing, which is exactly what I want. All right, Tyler, good luck with your sports stuff. Doomsday. Alright, I'm not super up-to-date on my Doomsday lists. I'm not going to lie to you, chat. I haven't played against Doomsday in a while. So, like, Surgical's probably fine. Pontiff's probably fine in case they try to just, like, goblins me. Recruiter to get hate is fine. Canonist is probably fine. Alright. Fire Imp's bad. Swords to Plowshares is bad against most of the cards in the deck that aren't named Laboratory Maniac. And most of the times, if they set up the Lab Maniac kill, it's safe with, like, something like a Street Wraith to back it up to draw the extra card. So this isn't as disruptive as it might necessarily look. Flicker Wisps are pretty slow. Magus is pretty slow. This is not a Hallowed Spirit Keeper matchup. Relic Warder for a random piece of artifact mana they run out is probably good enough. Not 100% sure that I'm sideboarding correctly here without taking the time to, like, look over some recent Doomsday lists, but I think something approximating this is probably correct. Oh, our hand is amazing. Wow. How can anyone who has started... Alright, opponent knows I have nothing. How can anyone who has started playing recently afford Moat Stompy? Good question. I don't even have all the things I need to play Moat Stompy. I only have a moat or two. I think I have one. I think one of my roommates has two. One of my roommates bought one of the moats that I was going to buy. It was unfortunate. I looked at it, saw the price was right, and I'm like, I'm probably going to buy that moat. Then he walks up to me about 10 minutes later and is like, hey, I bought a moat. Dang it. Unsure if I will just wasteland my opponent or play Thalia. Because getting to 2 mana is probably game over. But keeping my opponent from doing anything ever with a wasteland is also something relevant. I think the reset favors me. When you get the opportunity to disrupt a combo deck, it is usually just correct to do so. Oh, I didn't know about that policy, Moxwall. That's why we are getting so much, like, random new art. I see. Neat. So I'm going to go ahead and play a land that they know about and pass, and then we'll play Thalia on our next turn. And we'll just see if that's fast enough. Like, opponent has gotten 3 cantrips now, so, like, it very possibly might not be. Yeah, there's a very interesting set of, like, intellectual property and, like, copyright issues going on there that I'm sure is complicated and takes a team of lawyers to get through. But I bet they make more money in the long term by commissioning more art that they have just, like, all the rights to use. Yeah, Woody, that makes a lot of sense. That was kind of my inkling there. Alright, feels like this is a Dark Rit Doomsday. Ooh, no, it's a Cabal Therapy. So this gets my Thalia. So my play for turn will probably just have to be Spirit now. Or I might get Spirit, depending on, like, what their piles look like in this exact configuration, because Spirit's really annoying. Yeah, okay, they name Spirit. I'm gonna have a really good 1-2 punch if I get another turn. Thalia into Magus is pretty gross here because my opponent doesn't have a basic swamp right now. Relic Warder also might be pretty good if they just have to, like, run out a piece of artifact mana. Opponent shuffled with their Ponder, just for reference. Oh, that's annoying. That means I can get basic swamp. You can only play like a Lotus Petal here. Yeah. So opponent probably has another Cabal Therapy, it seems like. Yeah, I'm not like the biggest art critic or anything like that. I enjoy foreign language cards, like, you know, as someone with like an interest in like languages and linguistics and whatnot. Like that amuses me greatly, and it gives me something to do when my opponents are playing slowly. I just read my cards, you know, try to make sense of the languages on them. I can read a lot of them, but not all of them. And I tend to have a preference for older art, but that's not always true. Like, in recent years, like, I love the New Art Godless Shrine. Like, New Art Godless Shrine is one of my favorite arts of, like, maybe any Magic card. I really like that one. It's got, like, all, like, the stained glass stuff on it. It's awesome. Alright, opponent is finding things they like with their ponders. They're, like, this time they did not shuffle. I'm not sure exactly what that means. But I feel like it has to mean Dark Writ, right? Like, they just need, like, Dark Writ and land in order to get to 3 mana to Doomsday and maybe go off. Or they need something like a Massacre. Alright, so in order to get there, I need to put two points of power in play to kill them next turn. What can I play that does that? Any of the cards in my hand. So not Relic Warder. I can use Direfleet Daredevil to cantrip. But that doesn't seem like it's the best here. Like, I can just, like, use it to get Taxian Probe and cost myself 2 life. That doesn't seem awesome. I kind of just want a Magus of the Moon and prevent my opponent from fetching away other cards off that ponder. So that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, like, whatever. If we get massacred, we get massacred. And then I just, like, Daredevil, Cabal Therapy them probably for Doomsday. Alright, Dark Writ. Burning Wish. Alright, so that'll be a Massacre. That'll wipe the board. But it doesn't kill the Serra Avenger relevantly. Which is still a problem for them. Trying to remember if they know about the Scrubland. I don't think they know about the Scrubland. I don't want to show them that in case they, like, randomly make goblins. And I also draw something that matters. Choose target player. Opponent. Pay black. I'll play my black with colorless. Yes. Alright, so opponent has Brainstorm, Duress, LED, Petal. They might be going all in on like a LED, Petal, Brainstorm, crack LED sort of situation. That might be the life my opponent has to live. Nope. They're not going with that. Alright, they scoop it up. Alright, so we're 2-1. We have 1 win and 1 loss to Grixis Delver, and a win against Doomsday here. Back in we go. Yay, Fire Imp! Fire Imp, obviously an all-star in the Doomsday matchup. Yes, I would like to play first. I'm gonna think about this one for a second. My opponent plays Storm. That makes my decision a lot easier. Very consistently plays Storm, I should add. Looks like Ant. Yeah, this is a mulligan. This is also a mulligan. This is also really bad. I'll go to 4. I'll put that land on top. That gives me something to do. Frowny face indeed. Maybe my opponent has a real sketcher too, because they went Lotus Petal Brainstorm. That either means they don't have a land, or they're really close to just going off. Shit. I figured out which one of the two it was. Duress me. Do I just concede here to not show them what deck I am? I think so, because, like, they didn't just Duress, they Dark Ritualed in Duress. That probably means they're just going off. But maybe it doesn't. I'm gonna make them do it. My opponent has... My Storm opponents have killed themselves one too many times in the past 2 weeks for me to just concede. Like, I had 2 different opponent kills themselves with... ad nauseum on stream in the past week. Alright, so this is just Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, Cabal Ritual, Infernal Tutor. Maybe my opponent will mess up and click the wrong card. Otherwise, I'm dead. I will concede so they don't have to put all the Storm copies on the stack, though. That's really annoying. Alright, so we mulliganed aggressively, trying to get something. It literally did not matter what hand we would have kept. That was unbeatable for us. Alright, Surgical's in. Pontiffs will probably come in for Goblins. Recruiter's good. Relic Order's good. Canonist is good. I'd even honestly consider Honor of the Pure as, like, anti-Dread of Night tech. And just as a way to finish the game more quickly. We'll see how many bad cards I have. I'm sorry, Fire Imp. I'm sorry we keep playing against decks you're bad against. Yeah, just play no Flicker Wisps. And just trim the 4th. I usually keep one in to just, like, have as a recruiter target to just, like, recruiter for Flicker Wisp for something else. That may be unnecessary. Like, it may be possible that I just want to, like, get my curve as low to the ground as I can. Like, the Flicker Wisp doesn't really blink anything on their side of the board for value. I guess keeping one is good for my Darfleet Daredevils, though. Selfless Spirit seems bad. I actually disagree. Selfless Spirit can protect another Hate Bear. That matters in case my opponent is playing Push or Decay. And Avenger is something that naturally lives through a Dread of Night. So, like, there's that to consider. This version's pretty hateful. No, Daredevil's quite good in this matchup. Like, it gets discard spells as well. Alright, I'm gonna cut all my Flicker Wisp. We'll see if I regret that. Flicker Wisp is really good. So this has cards that do things, but it doesn't accomplish any one particular thing well. Like, I can get a hate card, but too slow. If my opponent discard spells me, I can discard spell them back, but I don't have, like, true interaction before turn 3 other than port. So I'm gonna mulligan. Well, this hand is bad, but I have to keep this one. So I have pretty much invalidated the Past in Flames kill with double Surgical here. We are going to get wrecked real hard by a Cabal Therapy, though. Let the record show. Get Probe into Therapy here is just absolutely cheating. How has Darfleet Daredevil been? It is an awkward card. It has a high ceiling for how good it can be, but a very, very, very low floor. Like, the floor is, it's a 2-1 with first strike. That's hard to cast. The ceiling is you do something absolutely bonkers broken. You know, like getting to Culligan's command your opponent or something like that is pretty nuts. Our opponent did not shuffle. Well, the good news is that I can fetch for a scrubland and pay for the surgical extraction. That's something. Yeah, like I have a screenshot log of like all of the really stupid things we did with it. Like bolting a Jace felt pretty good. Alright, opponent is wisely playing out all of their cards that they have duplicates of, in case I go and, like, just get bored and surgical them. Cabal Ritual. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I surgical extraction here, I can take any one of their 2-ofs and make this only produce 3 mana. I wonder if my opponent thinks I'm not going to pull the trigger on a surgical extraction here, because I 100% am. Like, their math has to account for this. I think I'm going to take the Git probes here over the ponders. Because if my opponent, like, somehow tries to cobble together a Past in Flames win, then, like, Git probe getting them a random card off the top for free without blue mana might matter. Alright, so... we'll see what happens here. I think I know what happens. Opponent playing a Night's Whisper build. For removal, they have 1 Dread of Night, 2 push, 2 therapy. I should snip this just in case. So opponent now goes LED. Ooh, they Cabal Therapy me. Okay, hold on, I have to think. So, Storm is 6. They can make it 7, 8. They can make it 7 and 8 with LED. 9 with Tutor. Tutor have 6 mana, Tendrils me. That seems like an obvious line. If I go and make this Storm count 7... Yeah, opponent says LED, Tutor, Storm is 6 already. So I'm just dead here. Because they go LED, Tutor, Crack, Tendrils. I also agree that I am dead. Alright, we What did I take? How many mulligans did I take that round? I mulled to 4 in the first game, and I think I took 2 mulligans the second time around, or maybe that was a 6-card hand. But either way, I had very, very bad hands that matchup. I didn't really get to play Magic there. Hand looks solid. Let's see if I have any data. We're gonna play against Storm again. It's fine. I'm going to keep a hand that has a Wingmare. Like, Wingmare and Thalia are some of my best cards in the matchup. Opponent also mulliganed, which is good for me. Yeah, opponent has a lot of finishes with Ant. And a decent number from very recently, too. So, I expect this one to be difficult. Opponent did not shuffle with Ponder. That doesn't bode well for me. Would love to draw Rishadenport or Thalia. Direfleet Daredevil, not the best. I think I am okay with just playing that as a 2-1 for no value. To just get 1 card out of the graveyard and disrupt something. Like, I just want to spike a land next turn and play Wingmare, and then my chances to win go up immensely. But prior to that, I just need to live. No value for me. I don't think waiting a turn for the Direfleet Daredevil to just be able to go and like put it in off the vial and ponder actually gets me anywhere, because I won't be able to cast a Wingmare off of that anyway. And I would need to draw like both land and Thalia between my draw for turn and the ponder in order to like put it in play. And that's kind of unlikely. And if I draw the Thalia, I just like cast it anyway. So I think just like starting my clock and removing 1 card from the graveyard is probably better than waiting there. If my opponent had a Therapy in graveyard or something like that, that would change my mind. Like, mathematically speaking, this is the turn where I should just die. I'm going to pause here like I am thinking about doing something, just as a bluff. Oh. That means there's a second LED, so this can just be like Tutor LED ad nause. Ad nause from 15 with 1 floating should be good enough. Oh, is Past in Flames just guaranteed? Oh, Infernal Tutor just gets another mana source. Then... yeah. Oh, I beat this, right? So that's 22 damage, and I can go to 23. Or no, I can't go to 23. Womp womp. But I just want to do this for the sake of doing it. So close. So close. Alright, Fire Imp out, Magus out, Swords out, Spirit Keeper out, all of the Flicker Wisps out. Not good enough. Good enough. Direfleet Daredevil's close. It can be... I'm going to put that on top and potentially fetch it away. If my opponent discard spells me, I might keep it. But otherwise, I might just fetch it away and try to draw, like, a Thalia or a Wingmare or a third land. Or we're just going to get turn 1. Well, that's annoying. Past in Flames. Okay, hold on. I've got a Surgical, so this is going to beat that. So, Storm is 6. They can go 7, 8 Tendrils. Not lethal Tendrils. So I can just fetch, go to 19, Surgical, Infernal Tutor, and then they can't kill me. Or I can just get the Tendrils. Then they Past in Flames, Dark Writ, Cabal Writ, Tutor. So that's... So they have 2 mana up to 3, 4 mana up to 5 mana. No, I just take the Tendrils, and they don't have red to make goblins. Alright, so I take the Tendrils, and I get to snip their deck list. So they have Echoing Truth and 2 Fatal Pushes, as well as Empty. Okay. So that probably just gets them empty, I would imagine. And then they'll try to set up like a Past in Flames empty kill. I might be wrong. I don't know well enough what they do from here with the tendrils gone. But I know the short-term answer is nothing. So what I say, my opponent had removal, push, push, truth. Okay. Opponent doesn't have more than one Echoing Truth, right? Oh, geez, they have 3 Echoing Truths. Okay. Alright, opponent has double Echoing Truth. That's good to know about. I guess it doesn't do much, though. I can Direfleet Daredevil and exile my opponent's Past in Flames. That's kind of sweet. Although I don't think they're anywhere close to going off yet. So I can hit my opponent for 4, put them to 14. I can then... Or I can, like, cast Honor of the Pure, hit them for 6, put them to 12. I think just tempo eating the Past in Flames might be correct. Alright, so I'm not going to play Honor of the Pure this turn. I'm just going to attack in. And then I'm going to go ahead and just eat the Past in Flames. If my opponent, I don't know, draws a bunch of LEDs or something, like this can go... The Past in Flames is annoying, so let's just, like, get that out of there. Obviously not going to cast that. This is probably just fine. Like, opponent does not have a second Past in Flames, so their graveyard is just shut off now. Ooh, opponent is not just bouncing something mid-combat like I thought they might. Yeah, I'm happy to show you my personal mono white list. That's fine. I have a few. It's not like there's just one with how much D&T I play. But I'll show you some options. Hey Phil, just joined. What are we playing? We're playing a build that's similar to Mark Koenig's build. There are a few differences. I'm trying out a few cards. We'll see how this goes. We're currently 2-2. We've got this game against Ant. But draws have not been hot tonight. So what are your thoughts on the equipment list version? I hated the previous version of the deck that he made that did not have Swords to Plowshares in it. But the version that has Swords to Plowshares now, I think is reasonable. And I'll show you a full-size deck list in just a minute. Is that the Totodile cry for your text notification? No, it was a Shuckle cry, but you're on the right track. Alright, opponent mulliganed. I will keep my hand. I have both a Mom and a Thalia here. Shuckle is my favorite Pokemon, for the record. Superior troll Pokemon. Top tier. Yeah, I mean, it's a nice hand right now, but if my opponent goes, like, get probe therapy, the hand does nothing. Gotta say, I selfishly really want D&T to become an equipmentless deck, because then there's basically no way for goblins to lose. Yeah, and, like, that's the problem, right? With a lot of the mid-rangey matchups, if you pull the equipment package, like, your percentage goes down a ton. Opponent had 3 Cabal Therapies in last time, I believe. Maybe 4 if there was one in the graveyard. Alright, so opponent is digging very, very aggressively for therapy because they feel like they are dead if this Thalia sticks. So that cost them a ton of cards to do, but, like, now they are in the game. They did not just auto-lose here. I'm going to try to keep my opponent off of further cantrips. Not really in an enviable position right now. I need to rip, like, any relevant hate card. That is not a hate card, nor is it relevant. Opponent doesn't have Massacre, so I can safely play this Plains. Just to confirm, no Massacre. I feel like that's a bait. I'm gonna tap this Swamp. I feel like they have Brainstorm. It is really annoying to lose after my opponent mulled to 6, got the relevant hate card out of my hand, draw bricks all game, and opponent still, like, cobbles together the perfect thing to just kill me. Oh, geez, did opponent miscount? Oh, no, that was an LED. Never mind. I was going to say, I didn't think they would miscount. My opponent's a really good player. Alright, so I wasn't paying that careful attention to what's going on. This is not guaranteed. My opponent is trying to cobble together a win. Oh, interesting. Of course. Just got in. How are we doing? Dead. That was a 2-3 in this league. So, this is kind of one of the things I don't like about Bafra's deck. Like, in his original version, like, the only cards he has that are relevant... Let me redo this here. Like, the only cards that he had that were relevant against combo were... I think his shell had 2 Wingmares. So I think he had, like, these against Storm, and he lost out on the Revokers. And without the Revokers, you lose a critical early play against combo decks like Storm, and I think that matters a lot. And, like, his sideboard wasn't even equipped to fight Storm. Like, when I edited it and, like, I made changes to the deck, I added some Canonists to give us more game against those sorts of decks. Yeah, like, every time I've played his builds, I've been kind of unimpressed. Like, I think the hedges that you make against all of the, like, very, very top-tier decks end up hurting your percentages elsewhere. Like, in multiple of those games against Ant, it was like, I just need to draw something relevant, and I'm not drawing anything relevant all game. Like, that was kind of the story of those last 2.5 rounds, right? So, not a huge fan of this build. Like, I might try it again. Like, it's super unfortunate that, like, we didn't get to showcase Hallowed Spirit Keeper at all, and, like, we didn't get to make a bunch of Spirit tokens. You know, we fire Impt in the first 2 rounds against Grixis Delver, and it was very, very good there. But, like, I'm not just convinced that this is better than something like this, where against the opposing combo decks, you have 7 turn 2 plays that are really good. And against the mid-range decks, you still have that, like, Stoneforge Mystic package for, like, some inevitability. You have Mirror Crusaders that are really, really hard to get off the table. So for somebody who was asking about my mono white builds, I have 2 that I recommend. I like the 4 Mirror Crusader build, which is pictured here. You then have... Where's my other one? A generic mono-white build that has a split of Avengers and Crusaders here. Personally, I like the Crusader build better. I'm just pausing here for a second to give them a moment to snip if they so desire. Okay, so... like, I understand the rationale between, like, a build, like, how a build like this works, but if I was, like, okay, let's do a thought experiment, chat. Let's just kind of do this live. I've already been thinking about this, so, like, it's not going to be that much work. All right, let's rename this. So let's just kind of, like, brew a white non Stoneforge deck. So like let's say that you agree with the argument that Stoneforge Mystic is bad. So let's say that like you want to free up 7 slots. Let's just take those and remove those. I think we can like potentially do better than just something like this. Like in that league, Fire Imp was a removal spell. Magus did nothing. Direfleet Daredevil did things of minimal significance. So, like, the weakness of the mana base is something that we can potentially ignore. So, like, let's say we just, like, go heavier on creatures here. And, you know, we go and we add in 2 Serra Avengers. Let's say we want to hedge against some... How do we have 0? Oh, because they're over here. Let's say that I want to hedge against all of like the Deathrite Shaman style decks that are running around right now. We can run some main deck Rest in Peace. And then I can have just some other utility creatures as well. So like at that point we could just like add a 3rd recruiter to the main deck for stability. We can't play Hallowed Spirit Keeper if we want to be the like Rest in Peace deck. If you really wanted like Spirit of the Labyrinth, you could add that in. Or just like play 1 more Serra Avenger. Or no, Wingmares. Like, let's get a set of like Wingmares in there. So like what if we put like a set of Wingmares in there? Move a Prelate to the sideboard. Move a Recruiter over here. Then that's 61. And we could go... Actually, maybe like down a Crusader. Or maybe even 2 Crusaders. And then play... I don't know, something like a Selfless Spirit or a Spirit of the Labyrinth to round things out. Like, something like this might end up being just as good as or better than what Bavra is trying out. You could also just, like, go with, like, 2 Rest in Peace, add in another Serra Avenger, or add in another Spirit of the Labyrinth, or some Selfless Spirits. That would give you a ton of... Or even just another Mirran Crusader. Although it's a little less good without equipment. Like, you could play something that's very hateful and very aggressive in the same sort of shell by playing around with those same 7 slots from Stoneforge Mystic. And, like, I just wonder, like, I think what Bavra's trying out is, like, makes a lot of sense. But, like, every time I've gone and played this deck, like, in any game where I don't run Hot, or any game where I don't start with Aether Vial, I just haven't loved these builds that are so light on 2-drops. Yeah, I don't know. Like, this is something I'm thinking about. Like, I think Mark has a very good point in that the Stoneforge Mystic package can be bad, but I think, like, there aren't that many good white 2-drop creatures. And, like, if you're cutting the Stoneforges, then your 2-drop slot is much worse. And if you're giving up on Revoker, then that's even worse beyond that, right? So I don't know where exactly that leaves us. Like, the equipment package is really good for the mid-range matchups. Like, the D&T Mirror, Maverick. It's very important against non-check pile matchups that you have to grind out, like Miracles in particular. The difference between having, say, Sword of Fire and Ice to go and attack a board that has a Jace on it and not is just absolutely huge. One of the issues is that this build has to rely on card advantage in weird ways because it doesn't have Stoneforge. So to get card advantage, you have Direfleet Daredevil, and then this weird like Hollowed Spirit Keeper, which hopefully works in the right matchups, but is very, very, very powerful when it is the right matchup. So I'm gonna. All right, Minifer, you beat me to my next point. So I was about to say, I'm going to talk about a couple of non-conventional ideas that I've had that I haven't put, like, deck lists together for yet. Idea 1, well, alright, idea 1 and 2 are both related. I think that enchantments are a very good way to attack the format right now. And so out of Bafra's deck, I actually kind of like Honor of the Pure best out of what he's doing. So when he started his stream, yesterday, I was like, hey, I'm gonna watch a stream. I'm currently going through the Gatherer. I'm looking at all of the white enchantments with CMC 4 or less, and I'm trying to piece some stuff together. So I think enchantments are a good idea. I kind of wonder if that's the way I should be taking advantage of the metagame right now. So I had a couple of different thoughts. Thought 1 is take unkillable threats like Mirroring Crusader and Auriok Champion that are just like very, very good in the metagame right now, and pair them with either auras or global enchantments like Honor of the Pure. So I think that can be really annoying, right? Like if your opponent is just like planning on playing like Baleful Strix, Fatal Push, Abrupt Decay, and you just go, nope, that's not going to work. That's a good angle of attack. So I think like if you want to make the 2-drop slot weaker, you can try replacing it with enchantments. So like you probably noticed that we boarded in Honor of the Pure most matchups that league. Like I don't think I boarded it in against Doomsday ? But I boarded it in the other 4 matches against Ant and Delver. Like it kind of has like weird utility where it might be good. So like I wonder if you can do an aggressive, evasive creature build based around Honor of the Pure, or I had some enchantments that I'm looking at. So to just, oh no, I deleted that note. Okay, well, I'll go from memory. So enchantments I was looking at in no particular order. I was looking at Karmic Justice, which says whenever one of your creatures die, or excuse me, yeah, no. It says whenever a permanent you control is put into a graveyard by a spell or ability your opponent controls, you destroy a permanent of theirs. And that's something I thought initially showed promise, but then I looked over some of the recent lists, and there's a bunch of things that like don't directly destroy it, but indirectly destroy it. And that wasn't quite going to work out. Then I thought about auras, but surprisingly there aren't as many good auras as you might imagine there would be. So I was looking at like what could be globally good. So I wanted like life gain cards, and in mono white, like the best option was like from Gatecrash Limited. It was like Gift of Orzhova, I think it gave like +1/+1 flying lifelink or something like that at 3 mana, and that wasn't quite good enough. Like, I guess if you throw that on a Crusader, it's kind of gross. Or if you throw that, you know, on something that can't be killed, like, Delver doesn't necessarily beat that, but, like, I don't want a 3-mana enchantment to do that sort of thing. So, then I looked at, like, what other cheaper auras were there, and about the best other one was, like, Ordeal of Heliod. Every time the creature attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. When you put the third counter on it, you sack it and you gain 10 life. Like, that could be really annoying against a Delver deck, but, like, that's slow and awkward, not where I want to be. So, other things I considered were Worship. I missed Mark of Asylum, but that was a great suggestion. Worship was fine. The Honor of the Pure type effects are good. I think Spear of Heliod is too slow, but it's an interesting ability. Yeah, like, the Cartouche isn't amazing. I looked at that as well. Yeah, I know, I wish the Bestow creatures were better. Like, because that's the sort of thing I want. It's, like, it's a body on its own, or it can turn into an enchantment and just kind of get there. So I think without going into a different color, it's not good. Yeah, the Totem Armor stuff is kind of, like, decisively meh. One of the things I thought about was just splashing green, and then playing a bunch of enchantments in the main deck. Like, splashing green, playing a Rancor or two, and then, like, also playing Choke, maybe main deck. But, like, at that point, why is that better than Maverick? And it probably isn't. I'm hot for 4 Cast Out and 4 Flicker Wisp. How about instead of 4 Cast Out, we just play 1 Cast Out? Huh? Huh? Chat loves Doomwake Giant, right? Yeah, and Moxall, like, I kind of think that's one of the issues, is that, like, with what I want to do in attacking the format via enchantment, Maverick might just do it better. Because Maverick can just play a turn 2 Choke off a Mana Accelerator. Maverick can play Sylvan Library in the main deck. Like, very, very easily. So, like, I think I want to attack the format with enchantments, and I just haven't figured out the best way to do that. So Mark of Asylum reads, prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to creatures you control. So that would stop the red-based removal. That's, like, there's something very real to that, but I don't think that's quite what I want. Have you heard of this sick meta deck? It attacks the format with Back to Basics and Search for Azcanta and Counterbalance. Yeah, and, like, honestly, I think that might be part of Miracle's success right now. Like, it's maybe not, like, the most widely played deck right now, but, like, the Miracles pilots who are very well practiced are doing very, very, very well with it. And I think part of it is due to the fact that it has enchantments that are difficult to interact with. Like, the reason why my red-white build is not favored against D&T despite P and K is just Back to Basics, eating all of my stuff. Mark of Asylum, 4 Knight of Grace, 4 Marin Crusader, and all the new first strike creatures get double strike. Rip Helm Energy Field? Still sounds like Miracles is just good. So So like this is a problem I'm working through, where I feel like enchantments are a good angle of attack, but it's just awkward. Like Rest in Peace is super powerful, but playing it in the main deck is like not synergy with Vile, and it can be difficult with like Thalias and Wingmares to like actually cast that card. It's also just like dead in some matchups. The problem with Riphelm is that it sucks, and the only good part of the deck is the Miracle Shell. Yeah, like the whole, not the whole, a major strength of the Miracle Shell is that it's just like Turbo Xerox push to the absolute max, right? It's just like cantrip, 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 card draw. Oh, I found a way to win somehow. Yeah, it doesn't particularly matter how you win once you have the game locked up with miracles. Like, it can be with a Mentor, it can be with a Jace, it can be with an Entreat. The win condition doesn't matter a lot. Like, you're already dead once they get to the point of actually winning. So, like, to talk about Enchantress for a minute, like, me talking about enchantments is not just coming from the middle of nowhere. Like, I spent a couple hours last night just playing around Enchantress just to, like, get a feel for it. And just, like, I think out of all of the games that I played, only once or twice did an enchantment actually leave the table once it resolved. And any interaction my opponent has usually came on the stack, or sorry, I should rephrase that. Like in the form of counter spells or hand disruption. So like when you go and play against Delver and they want to interact with you, they don't. Like they have to like hymn you, do some sort of like Thoughtseize effect, or counter your stuff. Otherwise they can't interact with it once it's in play. So for example, I resolved an Elephant Grass, which reads, black creatures can't attack you. Non-black creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each attacking creature that's attacking you. I kept an Elephant Grass around for, I think I had 10 counters on it before I finally had to sacrifice it, just because my opponent could not get it off of the board. And, like, that's the power of enchantments right now, and I really want to capitalize on that, and I'm just trying to figure out how. I don't think it's this deck. This was something cute I tried out. This was a list that I found online from a 5.0. The gist of it was that it uses Words of Wind that lets you replace a draw with bouncing a permanent, and your opponent also has to bounce a permanent. So the idea is you get 2 Enchantress effects in play, and a land that taps for multiple mana. You use this twice, use Candlestick to untap your lands, make more mana, play a 1-mana enchantment, draw 2 cards, but instead of drawing, you bounce the 1-mana enchantment and Candle, and then you repeat that until you bounce all of your opponent's permanents. It was kind of clunky, but like when it worked, the opponent just lost on the spot. But like the deck was so focused on drawing Enchantress or Enchantress's Present or Green Sun Zenith for an Enchantress that when you don't have those, you just do basically nothing and you're not even playing Magic. So if your opponent is aware of that, they just let everything else resolve and they just have to like counter or deal with these 12 spells and you have nothing left. And that felt pretty bad. So my opponents who kind of knew what was going on dismantled it pretty easy, where it was just like, you know, edict your Enchantress, counter your Enchantress's Presence, like, uh-oh, I have nothing left now. So let's kind of talk about where I'm at the end of the day. I am not unhappy with current D&T. Let me restate that in case that wasn't clear. I think that D&T in the hands of a skilled pilot is still a very, very good deck choice. I am very happy with my Crusader build. I am very happy with my red-white build. But that's me. And a lot of people are clamoring, saying, like, D&T is in a really, really bad spot. And like I personally disagree with that. But like a lot of people are having trouble with the Delver and the check pile matchups because they don't have the reps they need, and they're making small micro mistakes that are, you know, very much costing them games. So if you'll notice, like I'm still doing fine with DNT, you know, Mark's doing fine with DNT, you know, other you know, common big names are still doing fine with DNT, but some of the average pilots are struggling. So the reason why I'm trying out a bunch of stuff is just to like see, you know, what space do we have to explore right now. Yeah, I agree. DNT is just fine. So like my next big event is in May, and I'll be playing the Baltimore Team Open, and then I've got SCG Con in June, and then the GP in August, or I guess like August / beginning of September. So I'm very, very happy with DNT. The reason I'm not just like grinding matches with like one of my stock builds right now is I'm kind of leery about investing too much time in perfecting a deck list any more than it already is perfected, if realistically we might see a banning before the GP. Like the GP is what I care about. Like the SCG Open, like that's whatever. The next GP is what matters for me. And if Deathrite Shaman gets banned, then like I have to start from square zero. If Deathrite Shaman doesn't get banned, I just kind of want to spend a little bit of time exploring first and just like see like what ideas are working, what ideas aren't working, and then go from there. Like in all honesty, you know, I expect that if nothing changes, I will play something within 5 to 6 cards of either my 4 Mirran Crusader build or my Red-White Taxes build that I have currently. Like, very little will probably change. But, like, I have a lot of ideas that I want to try out. And, you know, I would be a fool not to test some things when I have such easy access to matches. If Deathrite Shaman gets banned, it's going to be Rug Delver to the top. And if it's Rug Delver to the top, guess who's back, baby? It's Stoneforge Mystic for Batterskull. Yeah, if Deathrite gets itself banned, we're going to have a very fun time in Legacy where we get to play awesome, cool, interesting decks for a couple of weeks while everyone tries to figure out where the format is going. Like, if you think back to when Top got banned, the, like, first 2 weeks afterwards were just, like, the Wild West, where, like, anything goes. Everyone was playing just, like, absolutely crazy decks. Like, at that point, I was playing D&T that had, like, Chalices in the main deck to fight Elves and Storm that were the best decks at the time. And then things solidified after, you know, a month or so of people, like, knowing what actually is going on. Yeah, basic planes, you're right. Like, there is a lot of Deathrite Shaman, Brainstorm, Ponder, Underground Sea decks going around right now. And the sad part is that you don't know what kind of deck they are just based on that stuff. What will we do when Goblin Recruiter gets unbanned? Tell you what, why don't you you ask that question right after Survival of the Fittest gets unbanned? No, not happening. Don't do that. That's dangerous. That's a bad idea. Don't do that. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point, N-Step Top. Like, the format right now is 2 things. It's Delver, Ponder, Brainstorm, Underground Sea decks, and decks that are tuned to beat them. Like, that's why at the previous GP we see, like, Red Prison crushing. And we see, like, decks like Maverick that tend to prey on a lot of those style of decks, like, doing well as well. So, If that's where the format is going, you know, it's not necessarily the best thing. But I think I've said enough about Deathrite Shaman for one night. Like, everyone talks about that card and harps on that card. So, I think that's good enough for now. I know I didn't lose to Delver all weekend. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? So, like, let's just look at a stock mono-white D&T build. So, if you're just playing, like, super stock list, you need to drag cards properly. So you have 4 Flicker Wisps, 4 Avengers as flyer in the main deck. You have 4 1-mana removal spells. You have an incredibly disruptive threat. You have 2 creatures that blank Gurmag Angler and are a super quick clock. You can steal games with Sanctum Prelate. You have the equipment package as backup and to stabilize so that you just don't die to too much early aggression. Like, you have main deck life gain. You have main deck removal that's tutorable with Stoneforge Mystic. You have Revokers to shut off Delvers. Like, you have all of the right tools to fight a very good fight against Delver, while also being very strong against opposing Wastelands. So, like, when you supplement that with, like, additional Path to Exiles in the board, then I think your matchup gets very good. So, like, let me throw some numbers on that, just to prove I'm not talking out of my butt here. I think I'm, like, 80% against Delver. And I know everyone says they're 80% against Delver, but, like, actually, though, statistics. Oh, that's red-white. So with red-white against Grixis Delver, I am 17-12, which is good. Not amazing, but good. Alright, with regular D&T... Oh yeah, there we go. Now it's showing. With regular mono-white D&T, I am 15-3 against Delver. 15-3. That's insane. If like Delver is the best deck in the format, and you have a deck that can go 15-3 against Delver, then like why would you stop playing it, right? So, like, yes, you can lose some games to Delver. Yes, them playing True Name in the main is annoying. Yes, they have access to better sideboard cards than they used to in the matchup. And, like, sometimes you'll lose to, like, Lily the Last Hope, or sometimes you'll lose to just, like, random Marsh Casualties and things like that. But, I have not personally had any trouble at all with the Delver matchup in mono-white. Food for thought there. Those are my numbers. And those are numbers from I don't know the exact start date. Probably December on. So that's like a 4-month span. So it's not testing like purely against the most recent list. So take that into account as well. How different is the red-white matchup against Grixis? Very. So just to field that question. And I don't want to talk for too much longer because my voice is kind of crapping out here. With the red-white matchup, you are more susceptible to wastelands and stifles on your lands. So you are more likely to just get delvered by getting knocked off colors. And that's a very real thing. You also have some cards that can be very, very difficult to cast in the matchup due to that fact. Like P&K, despite being a house against Delver, like if it actually resolves and gets in play, it's very hard to get in play in the first place. And depending on how you build your deck, you may have fewer flyers. Like, if you're the version that plays Direfleet Daredevils instead of, like, Wingmares, then you actually just end up with, like, 3 Flicker Wisps as your only flyers, and it feels really bad on that front. If you play the Wingmares to help balance that out, it's more reasonable. The whole reason that the red-white deck is worse is 100% due to its mana base, because a lot of times you need to just fetch out your basics. But if you just fetch out your basics, then you can't play all of your red cards that you're splashing for in the first place. And so if you just want a mono-white configuration, then why are you splashing cards? So, like, a lot of times in the post-sideboard games, like, I trim the P&K, and Mark even trims the Magus and just plays completely as mono-white in post-sideboard games. I usually keep the Magus, it depends on my build, just because it can get you free wins, and free wins against the top-tier deck matters. Alright, what's chat arguing about? Blue-red Delver? I probably don't have enough data to be, like, statistically significant at all there, or anything close to it. Essentially, I feel favored in the blue-red Delver matchup anytime my opponent doesn't have Smash to Smithereens in their hand, and unfavored anytime they do have Smash to Smithereens in their hand. That's essentially my feeling on the matchup. Like, Smash to Smithereens is just so stupid important in that matchup. It's insane how much that card matters. And especially if my opponent somehow gets multiples of them, then, like, what am I supposed to do? Alright. Mandragon, that's a good question. Let me get some more water and then I'll answer that, because like that launches a whole discussion. Okay, so we'll repeat the question here. I don't think Delver is the problem. It's 4-color control, right? Also, White Eldrazi is a thing we could do. Would it even be good? So here's the thing, and this is one of the primary constraints in D&D deck building at the time. The mono-white build is absolutely insane against Delver, but very poor against some control decks like Miracles. The red-white deck is worse against Delver, but noticeably better against Checkpile and Miracles asterisk, except for Back to Basics. So, like, the builds are pulling you in very, very different directions, and one of them is significantly better against the deck to beat. The other is significantly better against, like, the second best deck of the format. And there's tension in deck building there. I think the mono-white 4 Crusader build is a very good way to attack the format. I think it's very good against Delver while also being very good against Checkpile, and you just kind of accept that you fold the Miracles a little bit and hope you draw Cataclysm. Alright, so I'm about talked out. Chat, is there anything else that you've been pondering or thinking about trying out? Or is there anything else you want to bring up here? Yeah, we always fold to Elves. Like, just ignore Elves. We don't beat that deck. You have to get so super lucky to beat that deck. Like, even when you're playing something like Bahra's build that has two Orzhov Pontiffs, and that helps a ton, like, you still have to get Pontiff, you still have to get a Vial to 3, or get a Scrubland in order to make that work. So, like, there are still going to be a decent number of games where you draw Pontiff but not Scrubland. So, like, there's that. I'm really looking forward to Shalai, Voice of Plenty. Yeah, that card is going to be tested by me. I like that. Restoration Angel has been a house, but I understand the hesitation on a 4-mana card. Versus Miracles, do you board in Surgical? No, you do not board in Surgical versus Miracles. That is not worth a card. The last thing you want to do against a blue control deck is play cards that don't at least trade 1-for-1. Like, there is this temptation to try to go and get all their removal out of their deck. But if you take all of the removal out of the deck, you're hoping to just aggro them out before they stick a win condition. And if you just pull things out of their deck, you're just making it easier for them to actually get to their win conditions. So let's say that you, like, Surgical Swords to Plowshares, you take that off, but, like, what if they're playing a Path to Exile? Then they can still go, like, Path, Snapcaster, Path. Or they still have, like, the Snapcasters as random chump blockers. They can still just create a bunch of tokens with Mentor. So I don't think a Surgical does enough there. 4 Pontiffs, let's go. I think Knight of Grace is actually good. Alright, let me pull up that card. I don't know that one. Oh, is it a new one? Alright. Knight of Grace. One in a white. Hexproof from black. First strike 2/2. Gets +1/+0 as long as any player controls a black permanent. I am not convinced, no. Like, if I want something that's like that, I think Mirran Crusader is just better, and I'd also consider Auriok Champion over that. Like, Auriok Champion, I think, could be real, because that dodges K-Command, Push, Decay, Dismember, gets through Pyro tokens, gets through Baleful Strix, gains you random life points for Delver, which is not irrelevant. The Young Pyromancer trigger's not a May, so that just gains you stupid life. Insane with equipment. Like, I think there are better options if you want that sort of ability. And, like, I'd probably play Fiendslayer Paladin over that too. And I don't love Fiendslayer Paladin either. Yeah, so Kenny, that's a good point. Like, if you look at, like, anything with actual protection from black, that stops a Gurmag Angler, right? And that's super important in this format. And, like, there's a big difference between, like, pseudo hexproof effects and actual protection. So, like, let's look at Fiendslayer Paladin for that reason. So Fiendslayer Paladin reads, can't be the target. It's essentially hexproof from black and red spells. But that's not protection, right? So, like, this doesn't get through a Gurmag Angler. Or your opponent can still chump block this with a whole bunch of tokens and eventually kill it. And I think that distinction's big. Yes, it is a Jedi. I do find great humor in the art there. I just wish this card was slightly better, because it's almost what I want. I mean, we all know what I want, right? Like, I don't even need to type this out. E. Do I just not own this card? Oh, I just don't own this card. Okay. Aerial Responder. Aerial Responder is basically what I want. Like, that card is so close to everything I want for D&T. Like, Flying, Vigilance, Lifelink, all of that is very, very good. But then there's the whole Baleful Strix problem, right? Like, it doesn't get through Strix, and that's a big deal. What are your thoughts on Baneslayer, Angel? So, to go back to the tension in deck building, any card you play that makes you better against Pile probably makes you worse against Delver, right? Like, any 4-drop you shove in your deck is going to be awesome against Pile when it resolves, but it's just going to, like, eat a daze in Delver, and you're just going to feel, like, terrible, terrible, terrible about it. Aerial Responder also not being a human matters a ton because of Cavern of Souls. So I'm not sure what I'm going to play on Thursday, or excuse me, on Wednesday. It's largely going to be dependent on how much time I have. I was supposed to get a phone call tonight so that I could do something that I can't really talk about. And I was kind of hoping to do all of that stuff tomorrow night. But if I can't get all that stuff done easily, then I might just, like, play something that will go very, very quickly on stream on Wednesday. Like, I might just, like, play some stupid combo deck or something like that, or some Soldier Stompy, where, like, we'll just get wins quickly or losses quickly one way or another. But if I have a decent amount of time, I'll probably do one of the following. I'll probably stream something like this again to give it another shot. I'll probably try out a D&T build that has some enchantments in it, or I might just, like, play some Maverick or some Soldier Stompy. Like, I really like Choke right now. I really like Sylvan Library. I like to just get on the train again. I like enchantments right now. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. Let me take one last moment to see if there's anyone I can reasonably host here who would appreciate that. Ah, Romario. Let's do that. We'll host Romario. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. Thank you for those of you who helped me bounce around some ideas tonight. If you enjoyed this discussion and the matchups tonight, even if we didn't, necessarily win all of them, please consider following. And if you really like it, feel free to subscribe and support my efforts. So cheers, everyone. Have a good evening. I will see you again Wednesday at about 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time.